This is Right to Life Radio. And now, here's your host, John Girardi.
We've just gotten these very disturbing numbers. John Girardi here from Right to Life Central California, joined as always by Mr. Joanthan Keller from the California Family Council. How's it going, Jonathan?
That's pretty good. Other than this crazy schizophrenic weather that can't decide if it's spring or winter.
We cannot figure it out. I am looking at the YouTube feed. You can, by the way, for those of you who listen to the show, you can also watch the show at Right to Life Central California's YouTube channel, youtube.com/righttolifeca. And I'm realizing I, without thinking about it, put on two separate articles of Notre Dame clothing, as if I am a walking billboard for the University of Notre Dame. Jonathan,
well, now that the March Madness, Notre Dame's not in the tournament anymore. So
Notre Dame was not in the tournament to begin with.
Okay.
It's not a question of anymore.
That's true.
It's a question of never was.
You're just, now that March Madness is wrapping up, it's essentially, we're looking ahead to the football season, even though it is 4 months away.
We were never not looking ahead to the football season because every Notre Dame athletics team could go and however many games they play. As long as the football team is really good, then everyone in Notre Dame will be happy. So I care about Notre Dame football 8 billion times more than all the other Notre Dame sports combined.
Together.
So anyway, so Jonathan, let's talk about these very disturbing numbers from the Guttmacher Institute. Now, these numbers are purporting to show that the number of abortions that happened in America in 2023 were extraordinarily large, that the numbers of abortions are actually increasing since the repeal of Roe v. Wade in 2022. And I think some of this is immediately being spun in service of various Democrat talking points that banning abortions doesn't actually lead to fewer abortions. This is ridiculous. Blah, 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 blah. Which, if banning abortions don't lead to fewer abortions, then I guess I don't understand why they would be opposed to it.
Yes.
Anyway, so the Guttmacher Institute has put out these new numbers showing that, by their assessment, over 1 million abortions happened in the United States in 2023. Over 1 million. And that this is an increase from, like, 4 years ago, we had 800,000 something. We are now climbing upward in total number of abortions, abortion rate, et cetera, in the United States of America. Now, we've seen a 10% increase since 2020. Now, I want to go through these numbers, and there's a really good piece by Michael New in National Review that came out sort of shortly after these numbers came out, and sort of looks into this.
That's Dr. Michael New.
Dr. Michael New, Professor Michael New.
Yeah. From the Catholic University of America?
Yes, from Catholic University of America, who's one of the best kind of researchers on the topic of abortion, who's coming from a pro-life perspective. And I think he's often poking holes into certain pro-abortion statistical talking points.
Yes.
And so I think he's provided some useful context here. So one of the things he's pointing out is, first of all, this is the Guttmacher Institute. The Guttmacher Institute, for those who don't know, they often get cited as if there's some totally neutral researcher on the question of abortion, which is not true. Guttmacher Institute has been tied to Planned Parenthood for forever. It used to be, I think, formally part of Planned Parenthood. It's now, I think, technically separate, but it's named after a former Planned Parenthood executive director.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Alan Guttmacher. Is that his name?
Yes, I believe it was Alan Guttmacher.
Yep. Which for some reason sounds to me like, I don't know, someone who escaped from the Nazi party and came to America and became this. I don't know. For some reason, that's what always I don't think that is actually accurate of who he was, but literally, the name John, just sort of sounds like something.
Let me read you the first two sentences of his bio from Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. Alan Frank Guttmacher, born 1898, died 1974, was an American OBGYN. He has served as president of Planned Parenthood and the vice president of the American Eugenics Society.
Yes, that's why I always have that thought about Guttmacher. Yeah, he was big into eugenics until the Civil War, when everyone was like, "Oh, eugenics." Yeah. That's what happens when you have eugenics. So all the American eugenics movements, which Planned Parenthood was super tied into, let's not keep, let's have a race of thoroughbreds here. Let's not keep having all these poor, these black people and these Italians and these Irish people, don't let them keep procreating. All of a sudden, they started to change their tune after World War II when the word eugenics got a bad name because it was associated with some of the worst, most evil, horrific mass murders of the 20th century. Now, so the Guttmacher Institute is not exactly some unbiased source. It's a Planned Parenthood mouthpiece,
yes,
in a lot of ways. And Dr. New sort of points out, this isn't sort of the most reliable statistics. One of the things to understand with abortion figures, getting a hard count number of how many abortions happen in America is hard to do, and you have to do an estimate. Why? Because certain states don't report their abortion figures to the Centers for Disease Control. California being the most significant one. So California does not report its abortion figures to the CDC and purely because California doesn't do it, it makes it almost impossible to get, a really accurate count of how many abortions happen. It always involves estimates and guesswork, and it's chiefly because of California. Maryland doesn't report their abortion figures, but Maryland does not have nearly as many people as California does. So
it would be like, for comparison, this is a tortured analogy, John, but it would be like let's say the Biden administration was saying, hey, look, things are going great in the economy, and we can tell that because fast food consumption is up. We see that a lot more people are shopping, and
California excluded.
Yes, or fast food consumption is up, but we don't have any reports from McDonald's or Starbucks.
Any economic data that excludes California is going to give you an incomplete picture. Yeah. So
the biggest,
similarly,
the biggest numbers.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest numbers, the best numbers, as our former president would say. Now, so you have to take the number with a grain of salt. But, they have some reasonable measurements for coming up with this estimate. We had noticed before, Jonathan and I had noticed this. What's the question that comes here is, what is driving this? Is it everyone's reacting to evil Republicans who overturned Roe v. Wade and these states that outlawed abortion, and these state laws are having absolutely no impact, and people are just aborting left, right, and center, almost more so because of the backlash against the overturning of Roe? I don't think that's necessarily what's going on here. I think what's going on here is the effect of President Biden's FDA deregulating the abortion pill in 2021. So let me explain why I think that. Jonathan and I had noticed this before. We looked at an annual report by Planned Parenthood Marmonti. Now, Planned Parenthood, the way it works, it's not just one monolithic entity. It's basically you have Planned Parenthood sort of federated, or Planned Parenthood of America, I forget the name. And then Planned Parenthood is broken up into different regional entities that run all the clinics within a given region. So you have Planned Parenthood of Indiana and Kentucky, Planned Parenthood of Pennsylvania, Planned Parenthood of this state or this collection of states. Planned Parenthood Marmonti has all of the Planned Parenthood clinics in Silicon Valley, Central California, Fresno, and then I think one or two clinics in Reno. All right, so it's a very big region of Planned Parenthood. It has a whole bunch of clinics. It was one of the bigger Planned Parenthood regional entities
literally
in the United States.
And John, I was dumb. I feel silly. My Latin/Spanish was stupid that I didn't catch this at first. But literally, when they say Planned Parenthood Monte, it's from the sea,
from the mountains to the sea. Yeah, exactly. So Planned Parenthood Marmonti has all these. It's one of the bigger Planned Parenthood affiliates, and in one of their annual reports, we are particularly interested in them because they run the Planned Parenthood clinics that are located in Fresno. I noticed that they reported the number of abortions they had provided over the course of a year in all of their clinics. 75% of the abortions they were performing, 75%, were done via the abortion pill. 75%.
That's
the national average that as far as Jonathan and I had known up to that point was about 55% of abortions were being done by the abortion pill. So I was like, 75%. Wow, that's really interesting. Like they've really, and for those who don't know, for those who don't know, the abortion pill is not the morning after pill.
Yep.
The abortion pill is drugs to artificially bring about a miscarriage, abort the child up to 10 weeks into a pregnancy per the current FDA guidelines. What President Biden did in 2021 was massively loosen the regulations on being prescribed the abortion pill. I'm doing this with my hands. I'm doing these Trump movements with my hands unconsciously. He massively deregulated the conditions for prescribing the abortion pill. Prior to 2021, you had to at least go into the clinic once to get the abortion pill itself and ingest it there at the clinic. Biden, in 2021, his FDA changed those regulations to say that the abortion pill could be shipped to people through the mail or could be shipped directly to a pharmacy to be picked up without anyone having to go to the doctor. So that's a huge change in the regulation of the abortion pill, which is right now being debated at the U.S. Supreme Court. They're having the oral arguments about this, coming up. And basically the argument being, well, these changes in law did not comply with regulatory law because there wasn't enough sufficient health and safety information to make this determination. We don't need people to have in-person doctor appointments before they get the abortion pill. So that regulatory change, though, we can talk about the merits or lack of merit, the health and safety disaster it is to not have any in-person required appointment for being prescribed the abortion pill. We can talk about all that later. The ramifications, though, I think, have been that the abortion pill is massively more accessible now.
Yep.
And accessibility has always been, for the last 10 or 15 years of the pro-abortion movement, as they transitioned out of the Clinton era, accessibility has always been their big buzzword. They don't believe abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. They think abortion should be safe, legal, and universally accessible. Correct. And their contention was, before COVID, and by the way, they tried to mask the 2021 regulatory change. Well, during COVID, I mean, it's hard for people to go to the doctor's office, even though abortion clinics were in most states like the one thing that wasn't closed. It's very hard for people to go to the doctor's office. So we should have telemedicine appointments to allow people to be prescribed the abortion pill for the sake of for the duration of the COVID pandemic. They were pushing for that way before the COVID pandemic, and their arguments for it were based on access, that it's too hard to drive to a doctor's office, that there are too many barriers to access to have to drive to a doctor's office to get the abortion pill. So they decided, well, let's have the abortion come to the patient. Let's allow the abortion pill to be shipped through the mail. That was what was driving them before, not COVID. People were advocating for this throughout the Trump administration before COVID was ever a thing.
I will say, though, John, this is something that is, in the immortal words of Rahm Emanuel, never let a crisis go to waste.
Exactly.
This was incredibly shrewd on their part because, I mean, don't forget, it's true. You're right. They were advocating for it throughout the Trump administration. But they also had the 8 years of the Obama administration. And somehow they were never able to get this done during the 8 years of the Obama administration. But then, the magical COVID-19 comes along and, I guess all other safety regulations, all other constitutional concerns, just like on so many other issues, mail-in voting, yada, 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 you throw it all out the window because now we have this policy objective that we will secretly kind of use.
Right. So I think what the numbers are showing us is that as the abortion pill becomes massively more popular. We'll get into those numbers in the next segment. As the abortion pill becomes massively more popular, I think that is what is driving this increase in the number of abortions nationwide. We will talk about that next. This is Right to Life Radio, right here on Power Talk. Back with Right to Life Radio, Jonathan and I are going over, John Girardi here from Right to Life of Central California. You can learn more about Right to Life by going to rtlcc.org or righttolifeca.org. Hey, do you want to join us in Sacramento for the California March for Life? On Monday, April 22nd, we'll be advocating against all kinds of bad anti-life bills. We'll get to see the state capitol, get to hear great speakers. Jonathan Keller and
That's
California
right.
Family Council are the local sponsors and hosts of the California March for Life, along with National March for Life. Jonathan, who you got speaking at the rally beforehand?
Well, it's funny you say that, John, because based on the last segment that we just talked about, you mentioned this very important Supreme Court case
Yes.
that we're dealing with.
Looking at the legality of the regulatory changes to make the abortion pill to allow the abortion pill to be shipped through the mail, have people be prescribed the abortion pill without an in-person doctor visit, et cetera.
The primary plaintiff in that case is a group called the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine. And one of the main spokespeople for that is also the head of the American Academy of Pro-Life OBGYNs, Dr. Christina Francis.
Okay, so
And
she'll be speaking.
she is our speaker.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
And I would also tell anybody, if you want to come up the night before the march, obviously you should take the bus with John. But if you're already planning to be there, or if you wanted to, you're driving yourself for whatever reason, you got your own family, you want to be there, you can come hear Dr. Francis speak at our Defending Life dinner the night before the march in Sacramento.
Wonderful. All right.
She's going to be great. You're going to also hear from one of the pregnancy center clients down here in the Fresno area, John. That was we spoke with our friends Christy Burkhart, that a gal who changed her mind, and through abortion pill reversal, she was able to save her baby's life.
Wonderful.
So that'll be great. So there's local Fresno connections and all sorts of cool stuff. It'll be great speakers.
All right. Wonderful. So anyway, Monday, April 22nd, there's a link on our website, correct, Mr. Colton? There's a link on our website for people to sign up. So go to rtlcc.org if you want to come with us. Seating will be limited. We're trying to bring as many college and high school kids to this as we possibly can. So anyway, seating is limited for all you non-college and high school kids, all you old geezers like me who want to come. But we'd love to have you if we can find the space. All right.
Yeah, drive up. If you're an older person and you've got money burning a hole in your pocket, you need to make a tax deductible donation. Come up and go to our dinner the night before.
There you go. Sounds good. All right, Jonathan. I think so. One of the things we've seen, these new numbers from the Guttmacher Institute, which are indicating that there were 1 million abortions in the United States of America in 2023. That abortion numbers are actually going up since the overturning of Dobbs. One of the big changes that it's indicating is that the percentage of abortions that are being done via the abortion pill have increased enormously.
Right.
I think the 2022 numbers had indicated that something like 52 to 53% of abortions were being done via the abortion pill, and that number has jumped to now 63%. So I think this is, what is really driving the overall abortion numbers.
Right.
Is President Biden got rid of all these regulations on the abortion pill. You don't have to go into a clinic to get prescribed an abortion pill. You don't need an appointment beforehand to check for gestational age or to make sure you're not having an ectopic pregnancy. You don't need an appointment to be there to ingest it under the supervision of a physician or medical personnel. You don't need to have a follow-up appointment to make sure that you actually had a complete abortion, that there isn't anything remaining within your body that can cause infection and all that. So all these nice regulations that actually protected people's health and safety have been swept away. But from the perspective of the pro-abortion side, the benefit is, hey, everyone can get abortions really quickly and really easily.
John,
and I think that's what's goosing these numbers.
I would hazard to guess that I don't know, I'm just, again, my tortured analogies, but if they suddenly decided, hey, you know what, you can get Ozempic through the mail. You don't have to go see a doctor.
Go see a doctor.
No,
Yeah.
You can just call up someone. You can say, hey, I weigh more than I would like to. And I don't know what my blood sugar's like. I don't know what my cholesterol's like. I don't know any of my mitigating side factors. But what the heck? Can you just ship it to me through the mail?
Yeah, shoot me some Ozempic.
I bet you that.
Let me look like Mindy Kaling.
Yeah, I bet that numbers would go up quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think that was the goal of these regulatory changes, and that is precisely what has happened as a result of these regulatory changes. They wanted people to be able to get abortions more easily. Safety regulations be damned, and that's precisely what's happened. More people are having more abortions because it's easier to get. There's tons of statistical data showing that the pro-life laws that have been passed since Dobbs in states like Texas and others have resulted in people who would otherwise have had abortions not having abortions. The problem is that those successes have been offset by the massive increase in people having abortions because President Biden deregulated the abortion pill, and it has made it so easy to get. So I think that's the crisis that we're seeing here. This is all rooted in the easy access availability of the abortion pill. And the Supreme Court over the next couple months is going to be deciding a case to see whether those 2021 regulations by President Biden and the 2016 regulations by President Obama, which, let's not forget, Obama changed the regulations before. You had to have doctor's appointments before, during, and after taking the abortion pill. Obama got rid of that, just required one doctor's visit. If the Supreme Court rules that those 2016 and 2021 regulatory changes by Obama and Biden violated various provisions of various pieces of federal law that govern regulatory changes by the FDA, that could be a huge, huge deal that will massively restrict the availability of the abortion pill and probably save a lot of lives. So we got to look towards that Supreme Court decision really closely. All right. As we're wrapping up here, thank you, Mr. Joanthan. We will see you at the California March for Life later this month.
Looking forward to it.
Presumably on an episode of Right to Life Radio before then even. So when we return, we'll have Linda Teliha from Right to Life of Central California with stories from the sidewalk, one of our favorite segments that we do every first Saturday of the month. This is Right to Life Radio on Power Talk. We're back with Right to Life Radio, and we're joined, as we are every first Saturday of the month, by Right to Life's own Linda Teliha for our stories on the sidewalk. This is where we share about our ministry at Right to Life, where we're talking with women and couples going into and out of Planned Parenthood to give them alternatives to abortion. So welcome, Linda. Thank you for being on. And I want to sort of give you the floor. This is like the second mother of twins in like the last 5 or 6 months that we've interacted with. And so it's kind of an interesting story. And it leads to some good discussion about sort of, I think, how abortion providers tend to operate. So anyway, the floor is yours.
All right. I kind of wish that Planned Parenthood would tell everyone they were having twins, because it seems like that's a mind changer.
Yeah.
That's a decision maker. The last one that was having twins, I talked to her before she went in, and she was like, thank you so much for everything, but I can't do this. I'm going in. And that's when I was like totally
depressed,
discouraged.
Yeah.
And then she came out and she said, hey, I'm having twins, so let's go figure this out. And and I said, what was the decision maker? And she said, I don't know. There's two, you can't, and I don't know.
Well, almost
twins.
Like the enormity of two babies. I mean, it's almost like it's sort of, I don't know, maybe it's that much harder to grapple with or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess thank God it's happened at least these 2 times for these 2 moms.
I mean, that's 4 lives. So yesterday, I offered someone a flower, and she came up, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And I saw she had a paper in her hand, and I said, so, are you pregnant? And she's like, yeah, I am. And I said, do you want to come in and talk? And she said, yes. And I said, it's okay. My building's right here, and I'm not a weirdo.
That's a good way to lead off. Yeah.
I mean, there's probably people that would beg to differ, but
well, sure.
I had to get it out there just in case. And she goes, no, I know you're not a weirdo, because I met you in January.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how that made the difference. But
you had talked with this woman in January. You're now talking with her again here in early April.
Yes.
And,
So apparently I met her in January, but she was wearing a mask. I didn't recognize her. And she goes, yeah, you said the same thing. I was like,
good to know you're being consistent.
And she said, well, I was here to get birth control. And I just looked at her and I said, well, I guess it didn't work out for you.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I guess it didn't. And I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, I came here to get the patch and they don't put it on in there. And I thought it was supposed to go on my arm, but it's supposed to go, in near my stomach. And well, anyway, she said
she did not apply it correctly.
Right. And she's like, obviously I didn't put it in the right place because it didn't work.
Right.
And so, which, might not have mattered anyway. Sometimes you can do everything right with birth control and it doesn't work. And
Well, sure. Yeah. And
it's not a guarantee.
yeah. Well, and we were talking before the show about this and how, well, you make the point because, you're seeing it so often how it seems like Planned Parenthood's luring these people in with birth control, but the real goal is something else.
Yeah. I was just telling you that a lot of times I'll just give a scenario of if you go to McDonald's for the $1 Coke or whatever, do you really think that's what they want you to buy?
No.
And it's simple. They'll be like, no. And I go, well, what do you want them to buy? Or what do you think they want you to buy? And then they're like, the burger? And I'm like, yeah, the $8, $10, what, I don't know how much it costs burger.
Well, now we have a $20 per hour fast food minimum wage. So
maybe it's 30. I don't know.
So now the combo meals cost like $12.
Burger.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but they don't. You're right. They don't want you to buy the $1 Coke.
Right.
They want you to buy the $12 meal.
And so that's what I talk about. I'll say, well, Planned Parenthood is an abortion center. That's their primary means of income.
Of making money.
It's the bottom line. You can chop that pie chart up however you want because even if you look at it and you put the money out, the cost of an abortion far exceeds any kind of whatever they disperse.
Oh, yeah.
So they can say, it's only a third of our, whatever, but it's not true.
Yeah, well,
we know that's not true either.
You're correct. They chop up the math to make it seem like, well, only this tiny fraction of the services we provide are abortion. But if you look at I had researched this looking at Medi-Cal reimbursement rates. So what is the standard rate Medi-Cal will reimburse you for different services? For the abortion pill, the global bill, and that's 75% of the abortions that Planned Parenthood Marmonti does is the abortion pill. We found that stat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 75% of them are pill abortions. It's $582.
What a racket.
The next most expensive kind of service I could think of with a Planned Parenthood would be, I don't know, inserting an IUD. An intrauterine device. That's only $168. So that's how much more money they're making off of every single abortion over and against even the most expensive, invasive, complicated kind of birth control.
And that's the chemical abortion.
Yeah.
Which is still abortion.
Yes.
But if you now start stepping into the surgical abortion arena,
it can be even more than that.
Look how few you have to do a day at I think maybe an expensive one is $1,500.
Yeah, well, and it very much depends on the kind of abortion you're doing, how late in the pregnancy it is, and then what insurance. So for Medi-Cal beneficiaries, like a first trimester abortion, $400 a pop for each abortion, but that's not including the other services that might be attended to.
Right.
So maybe the ultrasound you get more.
So that's an early surgical abortion. First
trimester surgical abortions, $400 just for the abortion. Now, the thing is, though,
by the way, that's your tax dollars paying for that.
Yeah, that's your California state tax dollars.
Yeah.
The thing with the abortion pill, though, is that you have fewer. Probably what you're getting is less, but your costs are less because you don't really have to pay a physician for a bunch of time. Like if you're doing a surgical abortion, you got to pay a doctor or a nurse practitioner or now a physician assistant in California for the time actually performing it.
Yeah. Okay.
With the abortion pill, you're just giving them the pill.
Back to
anyway. But yes,
the
point we're making is Planned Parenthood is luring people in
Here's your
with
free
birth control.
It's all great.
The cheap thing because they know that it has a certain built-in failure rate. They know a certain percentage of people won't use it right.
And especially if you haven't been taught how to use it.
If you haven't been taught how to use it, if you're, not sophisticated, if you're a child. That's why they're in schools.
Right.
And so they know that a certain percentage of those customers are coming back to get the more valuable service, which is abortion.
Back to your tax dollars, this is an elective surgery.
Correct. Although California has redefined all of its law to basically say that there's no such thing as an elective abortion. All abortions are necessary services. That's why insurance has to cover it. Because no abortion's elective. It's all necessary. And that's why they never shut down during COVID.
Oh, okay.
because
Let's define elective.
Well, exactly. Well, they did. They redefined it, and
The
they
word.
basically redefined what is essential healthcare services in California for the purposes of
So
what
they
stuff has to be
exchanged the
covered.
word essential for abortion instead of elective. Because
The
how could
word-
it not be?
The word elective just does not apply to abortion anymore in California law.
Oh, okay.
It's all essential healthcare, all basic. It's all basic healthcare is how they deem it. And,
So I'm wondering,
yeah.
is it a nose job? Is that
Oh, that's elective.
elective?
Exactly. That's still elective.
So I got to wait on the tax dollars if I want to do one of those.
Yeah, if you want to get Medi-Cal to pay for your nose job, yeah, keep waiting
Or whatever.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, it's
Unless you're-
wildly hypocritical, unfair, does not make any sense. But that's how they've structured it because
Okay.
they love legal abortion and they love paying for it.
But anyway, that was a tangent. So back to here we are. We have somebody who, went in for birth control 3 months ago and is back out with twins. And the end of the story, well, not really the end, but today's update is that she went home and told her partner and the family said, great, this is a blessing. And he said, I'm
Wonderful.
happy.
Good.
So,
Good.
and we're going to do a shower for her and whenever these babies are born.
That's wonderful. And that's
Fall, I
That's
assume.
why we're here, and that's why why we're here. That's why this ministry exists, is to be able to interact in these people's lives, work with them, change
Gave
these
her
outcomes.
her first mommy gift and
Wonderful.
had a chance to talk.
Wonderful. All right. So when we return, we've got more and other stories, an update on one of our moms that we threw a baby shower for, and the immense impact that our work at Right to Life has had in her life. We'll be back with more Right to Life Radio right after this. We're back with Right to Life Radio. We're talking with Linda Teliha from Right to Life. We're doing our stories from the sidewalk, where we talk about all the incredible work that we're doing through Right to Life, directly interacting with women considering abortion. We talked about how Planned Parenthood sort of lures people in with birth control to get what they really want, which is a big fat insurance reimbursement for abortion. Yes, a big fat check, because on it, that's my... You scratch various altruistic, social, liberal causes, particularly the pro-abortion cause. You scratch the altruistic facade, and underneath you find people trying to make lots and lots and lots of money. And I think ultimately that's what it is.
I have a question for you. Now that we're talking about this elective surgery thing that's going on in my head.
Okay.
That's what we talked about. So now that this whole transgender thing is going on, does Planned Parenthood do those?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about...
To clarify, Planned Parenthood is not doing any transgender surgeries.
Okay.
They are doing various kinds of transgender hormonal treatments.
Okay.
So puberty blocker, various kinds of hormonal treatments. And again, like I've been saying about money, I think drives a lot of this.
Obviously.
These hormonal treatments for transgender stuff, quick to do, easy to do, doesn't have a lot of costs associated, not a lot of provider costs, and the drugs are super expensive, so you get a big fat reimbursement.
Oh, okay.
So this is why you'll see pretty much every Planned Parenthood under the sun is doing this transgender stuff.
Okay.
Not every one of them is doing prenatal health care or STD testing.
Right.
Why? Because prenatal healthcare visit, there's nothing to reimburse you for. It's just you're talking with your provider. There's no intervention, there's no surgery, there's no drug.
Okay.
You don't make a lot of money. Same with STD testing. You don't make a lot of money.
Okay.
So they're ordering their services around what makes them money.
So the road I was going on was that the elective surgery thing and not being able to get a nose job.
Yes.
But I thought of, well, if the general person wanted to get a boob job, how do you? I mean, you got to say you're going to change. Like, you can't get them bigger, but you can get them cut off. I don't.
Well,
that's
sure.
elective.
And that's the thing.
How does it
Okay,
work?
the way that this is why sometimes I'll see both pro-lifers and pro-choicers making the argument of abortion is healthcare, and pro-lifers will make the argument abortion is not healthcare. And I think sometimes people misunderstand what that's saying. I think sometimes people think that's just a different way of saying abortion is bad or abortion is good. If you define healthcare
Yes.
as treating something that is wrong with the body or maintaining the body in a state of health,
Right.
then
You got to define wrong.
then it's also, though, most abortions are not really healthcare. because it's a healthy pregnancy. You're choosing abortion. You might be choosing abortion for a really serious reason, but most of the time it's being chosen for something that's not a health-related reason. It's being chosen because of, I don't have money, or I don't have a supportive partner, or whatever.
I don't feel like it.
That might be a serious reason.
Yeah.
It's not a healthcare reason.
Okay.
And from that perspective, our pro-life attitude has always, the attitude pro-lifers have taken, I think very accurately, since the beginning of legal abortion in America, is that, no, abortion is not healthcare. It's something separate from healthcare, and it should be treated separately as far as health insurance.
Yes.
Because health insurance, why does your health insurance? Okay, so
taxes.
Why does most health insurance plans? They're not going to cover a boob job so that you have big boobs and look hot. They might cover certain kinds of breast reconstructive surgeries after you've had breast cancer. Why? Because the goal of that is to restore you to some sort of normal appearance or something like that after a drastic intervention.
So now there's a difference between elective that has to do with that.
Yeah, so
the definition of
so a boob job to look hot, that's elective surgery. Insurance is not going to cover that. Similar, and now I'm not saying people, getting boob jobs. I'm not saying people getting boob jobs are in the same. People choosing abortion are often facing very dire situations. Right. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but what I am saying, it's similar in that they're both being chosen for non-medical reasons.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about this whole elective definition anyway. So that's it.
But California has mostly just rewritten it because they want every abortion to be covered by insurance all the time. All right.
Anyway, so I'm going to get back to my story.
In the 2 minutes you have, tell us about the
So we had a baby shower.
Okay, for one of our moms.
2 weeks ago. And the great thing was it was huge. The mom brought her other kids. She brought her family and friends. And then we had all kinds of supporters. And right in the middle of it, she stopped in the middle, no prompting, no nothing, and said, you know what? I wouldn't be here if Linda hadn't walked up with that flower. And she goes, I kind of was like, what are you doing? And she said, hey, and, come over here. And so I did. And I'm thankful that I did. Thank God I did, because I cannot wait to see my baby boy. Yeah. Thank you so much to everybody for everything you've done. And we don't always get that. We get, thanks. I'll work through it. But this woman was genuinely happy. And when I met her, she was genuinely like, I cannot do this because A, B, and C. Right. And now she's saying, I've got those things still going on, but I am so glad that I chose life.
And we've been making this point a lot more in our educational presentations and stuff. The stat from the Charlotte Lozier Institute that 70% of abortions are against the preference of the person getting it, meaning I would rather have this baby, but I feel like I can't afford it. I don't have support. I don't have this. I don't have that. And in fairness, most of the stories we're talking about are the people who wind up choosing life. So obviously they're in a situation like that. But they were all going to have an abortion, not because they wanted to, but just because they felt they had no other choice.
Yes.
And so for us to have the role of saying, here's all your other choices.
Sometimes it's necessary. Just standing there, being there, and saying, what do you need? Yeah. That's all they needed. Yeah. That's the step over the line. Yeah. It's amazing, because I can't even fathom it. I've been doing it for almost 4 years. I can't even really sit in it because it's so awesome in the true sense of the word. Yeah.
All these human beings are going to have whole lives.
Life to death, or death to life. It's
and all they needed was just one conversation with one person.
One flower.
So, there we go. All right. Well, thank you all so much. We will be back next week with more Right to Life Radio. You can support everything we do. rtlcc.org. Go to our website, sign up for the California March for Life, and we'll see you next time.